So let's talk about lighting. We have our object right here, we have a light source right here, and we have our camera. The camera is going to be to view our object to see what we're going to ultimately render, and our light is hopefully going to be used to light our object. Right now we're in Workbench render engine, so we want to change over to something like Material Preview, or probably even better, we would change over to Rendered View, which is currently using cycles. If yours isn't, change it to that. So now I'll go into our camera, and you can see that the light source that we have, it appears that it's lighting this edge up right here. So let's go ahead and do a couple things. So first off, I need to move my light around a little bit. I don't know if I like it right there or not. So let's go get it. If you look on the side here and you see just this little black line kind of over in the corner, that's the bottom of our light. So if I get out of my camera and zoom out, you see what I'm talking about? So if I saw that, if I knew I had my light selected, a thing I would like you to get used to doing is moving an object like a light while you're in the camera, but you can't actually see it. You just have to know that you've got it. So here's an example. I'm going to go here, top view, and grab my light source, and I'll move it around. And you can see, by the way, as I get it close to the cube, it gets brighter. Now let me put it over here, and I'll go into the camera. Now, you know I had it selected before I went in there. Don't know if you noticed that, but right now, oh, I definitely don't. Now I've got the cube selected. So I go to my outliner up here and I pick my point light. And once you move your cursor over here into the window, now I can hit G and I can start moving it around. But do you know that you're moving around? Well, watch the lighting, the highlight on the corner of the cube, and there the light comes into shot now. But the point being that you can grab it while it's off to the side, and it's going to be really helpful because your lights are very frequently not right up against the object. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring it right up against the object for right now. I would also suggest that you get used to using your axes. So I'm going to hit G and I'm going to hit Y, so I move it back and forth on the Y, and so I'm right there in front of the face. Then I'm going to go GZ and bring it down so I can see that light right there. So this light, not the property of light in Blender, the property of this specific light. This is just one of many that we could add in here. This object has its own properties over here in the properties area. So these ones that we've talked about before are for global settings. Generally, a lot of these are. But down here, if I were to pick a light, you get a little light bulb. If I were to go pick my camera, say in the outliner here, now it turns into a camera. So specific properties to the object selected. So I pick this, and now I can go over here to the light bulb, and I could change how bright it is. I can change the radius, and that could be helpful. Okay, so I'll go ahead and move this up over about here, just for the sake of. So this light is up here, top right corner, shining down on the edge of my cube. And we can see the highlight, of course. But over here on the back edges, the part that I want to address is well, simply the fact that we can still see everything. Watch this. I go to the outliner and I'll turn off the light. We can still see our object in the viewport, in the world. We can still see it. So why is this? Well, because there is a global illumination. There is a world light that is in effect. In the last render video, we talked about this up here, that if I wanted to, I could turn the scene world off, but there is a different way that maybe you might want to do that. And so if you think world lighting, go over here to the globe, and you'll see that it says surface right here. If it's collapsed open, open it up, and then just drop this 1 to a 0, and now we have turned the light off. That right there might have been killing you for a while if you didn't know how to get rid of that. You're trying to create a dramatic effect with your object, but you can't exactly subtract light. There is a weird possibility of negative lighting, but you're trying to move your lights around to get this effect, but no matter what you do, you can't get the drama that you would see in, like, a lot of guys you'll see out there are doing these like lightsaber Star Wars type, sci-fi looks. It's all in the darkness of space, and just, the character's face is highlighting with glowing red eyes. You can't get that because you can't turn the lights off. So that's what you want to remember first. Now watch what happens when I turn my point light back on. Beautiful. So we're in cycles. We're getting this wonderful gradient across the face right here from our nice little light source, and all the rest is basically black in space. If you'd like, at this point in time would be a good time to go ahead and hit F12 and render this out. And there's our object. It looks great. It already in the deep blackness of space, I think it just looks excellent already. Now, what would we like to fix about this? The things we'd like to fix about this now would be to add a few more lights here and there. And this is where the concept of three-point lighting comes into play. So I'll get out of here, and we'll do this about as fast as I possibly can, and then we'll touch on it in successive videos. So I'll go back to layout mode. I will go to solid shading so I can go and actually see what's going on. I'm in top view. Here's my one light. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and bring it back here. Why am I bringing it back here? Well, this light here, the idea is it's going to light up the back face in respect to the camera here, and I'm going to see just a little bit of an edge around here. So this is going to be the rim light, lighting the rim. So why don't we come over here and name it? How about that? So this is the rim light, and then the first one here we call our key light. It's kind of the main feature. So we'll go ahead and we'll name that one key as well. Let's see what we get now. Go into your camera view and change it to rendered. And right away, that light it's beautiful. It's reflecting right down on the surface. Now this is great. It looks great. It could be exactly what we want, but it's maybe in the spirit of, you know, what the rim light is supposed to be doing. It's not quite, but again, it's all subjective. You can do whatever you like. So I'm going to pick the rim light, and I'll show you what you do with this. GZ, and I'm going to bring this down, and you pretty much can't see it anymore, and there's no more light there. But what I can do is I can go back over here to properties, and I can start increasing the brightness of the thing a lot until, and maybe a little bit more radius. There we go. And now you start to see it fall around the edge right here, the rim. So that's the effect of the rim light. It just helps it pop out of the background. There's they also call it a hair light. And so if you imagine a person that gets a sort of dark background and you're trying to take a picture of them, you do this same type of effect with a light somewhere back behind them just to light up their hair or the rim, the edge of it, to make them stand out from the background. Quick render here. And look at this. This is beautiful. This is exactly what you're supposed to be doing with this. Just catching the edge just a little bit to help it stand out from the background. We could move it around. It could be argued that you could just nudge it over here a little bit to see a little bit more of that edge, but you know, do what you like. Now, the next thing that you might want to add is another light to light up this face over here, or to fill it in a little bit more. So this is going to be our fill light. So we'll go ahead and go back into our top view here and go to solid. We'll duplicate this light again. We'll bring it somewhere over here. This is the fill light. You might want to do this too, is just quickly go into Eevee, go into Material Preview, and grab it and move it around and see kind of its placement, if you like, just to make sure it's not a million miles away. But we're definitely lighting that face. We'll go into Rendered View and hit 0 on the keyboard, and look, that whole face looks great now. It's all lit up. It is hitting this edge maybe a little bit harsh, and you could nudge it around a little bit. This would be a good example about grabbing things that you can't see out in the distance there. So I hit G, and then I'm going to say X to move it on the X, and I'll move it off to the side there, or over. There it goes. And so now my light is just moving off of that one little edge, kind of a little bit more, you know, maybe towards the back, and you can use it. It's almost becoming kind of its own, like a rim light there. Okay, maybe move it off in the Y, put it off in the distance a little bit. We're getting kind of a big reflection now on that surface, and so that's our next thing to talk about. So let's put a period on that and say this is your idea of three-point lighting. This is the concept of it, and then you start to fine-tune from here. What I want to say before we get to our next video is why are we seeing all of this darkness here, and why is this such a square? Why can't I get it to round over these edges? Well, you can and you are, but there's another thing at play that has nothing really to do with lighting. It has to do with our specific model, the way that we made this. Right now, if I hit render on this one, you're getting all of the light bounces off the object. You're not getting any reflection from almost anything else. There's no floor, there's no other objects near there. So the only thing left to reflect is the blackness of space. And because this is a somewhat metallic object, what you're catching right here is a mirrored reflection of the blackness of space. Okay, so if you wanted to change this, we'll go over to shading. We'll change into rendered view. We'll go into camera view and we'll see, what we see. And to prove this out, check this. If I go down here, I could turn off metallic or I could turn up the roughness. Now watch, as I roughen up the surface, you will see less reflections and you're actually going to see more color come out of this. So here we go. You see? So at some point in time though, even with this being metallic, you'd either turn off, crank this up, you're still going to see shadows and things around here. And that's our next video, talking about our scene setup, getting a floor out here, getting some other objects maybe added around to start increasing the believability of our object in our scene.